Yes, I'm so excited about, like, this was sort of a surprise and a secret that I had been carrying around for a year, and
The Queen of Reinvention is back. And this time, Taylor Swift is giving fans an all-access pass behind the life of a showgirl. Appearing on The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon, Taylor radiated the same quiet confidence that's defined her latest era. Glamorous, grounded, and unbothered by the noise. The crowd went wild when Fallon brought up the creative process behind her record-breaking album. Taylor smiled, that knowing, mischievous grin, before admitting, "This project felt like stepping into another lifetime. I wanted to make something theatrical, but painfully human." Within minutes, clips of the interview began trending across social media. On X, formerly Twitter, fans exploded with reactions. Taylor talking about the life of a showgirl like it's her autobiography in disguise, I'm not okay. Over on TikTok, edits of her Fallon moment, that spark in her eyes, the hand over her heart, racked up millions of views. One viral comment read, "No one romanticizes heartbreak and art like Taylor Swift does." She's in her legend era now. Taylor also opened up about the album's emotional layers, describing it as a love letter to the performer's heart. She explained that every song represents a side of the same woman. The one on stage, the one behind the curtain, and the one who sometimes disappears between the two. On Instagram, fans shared screenshots of her, quote, "You can't be a showgirl without surviving the show." The line spread like wildfire, appearing in captions and fan art overnight. Fallon, always the playful interviewer, teased, "So, are we talking film adaptation?" Taylor laughed but didn't deny it, sparking a flood of theories that a visual album or Netflix collaboration might already be in the works. By the end of the night, hashtags like #TheLifeOfAShowgirl and #SwiftOnFallon were trending globally. Critics praised her for merging cinematic storytelling with raw emotion, calling this era a masterclass in self-expression. And honestly, they're right. Taylor isn't just telling stories anymore, she's performing her truth, one act at a time. Taylor Swift shares how Travis Kelce pulled off his proposal. Leave it to Taylor Swift to turn even a proposal story into pure cinematic gold. Appearing on The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon, she finally spilled the details about how Travis Kelce managed to pull off one of the most talked about moments of the year. And honestly, it sounds like something straight out of a Swift music video. Taylor laughed as she told Jimmy that she had no clue what was coming. "I thought he was just setting up for another podcast recording," she said, referencing Travis's New Heights setup, "but he'd been planning this for months, hiding every detail from me." The audience gasped as she revealed that Kelce transformed their backyard into what she called a secret garden at midnight. There were blackout drapes, thousands of fairy lights, and even her favorite flowers flown in from Nashville. "It looked like a dream sequence," Taylor said softly, "except it was real." Within minutes of the broadcast, X, formerly Twitter, was flooded with reactions. "He built her a fairy tale, the bar's officially in the clouds," one fan wrote, racking up over 200,000 likes. Another joked, "Of course Travis Kelce proposed like it was Act 3 of a Taylor Swift album." On TikTok, clips of Taylor giggling as she recalled the moment went viral overnight. The soundbite, "He was more nervous than I've ever seen him, and that's saying something," became the week's most used audio, with fans captioning it #TrailerProposal and pairing it with engagement reaction edits. Even on Instagram, Swifties turned her story into an aesthetic trend, sharing reels of candlelight gardens and captioning them "Manifesting a Travis Energy Proposal." Fallon, clearly enchanted, teased her by saying, "You realize you just made every man in America feel inadequate, right?" Taylor burst into laughter, that unmistakable, contagious laugh that filled the studio. And somewhere between that laughter and the twinkle in her eyes, one thing became clear. This wasn't just a proposal. It was a moment written in true Swiftian style, poetic, heartfelt, and destined to break the internet. Taylor Swift on owning all of her masters. In her Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon sit-down, Taylor Swift's tone shifted from playful to proud when the topic of her masters came up. Fallon asked what it really felt like to own her life's work again, and Taylor's answer gave the audience chills. "It's like getting your name back," she said simply. "Every song is a diary entry, and now no one else can tell my story but me." That single line set X, formerly Twitter, ablaze. Taylor didn't just reclaim her music, she reclaimed her power. one fan posted, earning over 150,000 likes. On TikTok, a clip of Taylor saying, "I own my voice now," literally turned into an empowerment anthem used in thousands of edits by young artists. Industry insiders on Instagram called it a defining feminist moment in music. Fallon wrapped the segment saying, "You didn't just rewrite history, you recorded it." Taylor smiled, a little teary-eyed, and whispered, "And I do it all again." That's the power of Taylor Swift, turning pain into ownership and ownership into legacy. Taylor Swift addresses Selena Gomez, Ed Sheeran, and the wedding buzz. When Jimmy Fallon brought up the wedding weekend that broke the internet, Taylor Swift couldn't help but laugh. Sitting under the studio lights, she looked radiant and relaxed, but her words had just enough sparkle to send Swifties spiraling into theory mode once again. "Yes, Selena's wedding was perfect," Taylor said, smiling. "And no, I didn't mention my engagement that night. It was her moment. I wanted it to stay that way." The audience erupted into applause, and Fallon couldn't resist, teasing, "That's friendship goals right there." Within minutes, X, formerly Twitter, caught fire with clips from the interview. Taylor letting Selena shine on her big day. "That's what real sisterhood looks like," one user wrote, as Zomper, Swift, and Fallon trended worldwide. But the real surprise came when Fallon asked about Ed Sheeran. Taylor laughed again. "Oh, Ed, I forgot to tell him about the engagement before it hit Instagram. He doesn't even have a phone. I had to email him later." Fans on TikTok loved it. The quote, "We forgot to call Ed," instantly became a meme sound, with users joking about forgetting to tell their own friends big news. One clip with the caption, "When you find out your bestie's engaged," from Instagram hit 5 million views overnight. Over on Instagram, fans filled comment sections with heart emojis, tagging both Ed and Selena. "This is the trio we'll protect forever," one fan wrote, while another added, "Taylor's loyalty is unmatched." Then Fallon, ever the instigator, asked if Ed might perform at her wedding. Taylor smirked and said, "It would be hard to keep him off the stage." Cue audience screams and a frenzy of speculation that Sheeran could headline her reception setlist. As the cameras cut to commercial, Fallon summed up what everyone was thinking. She really does keep it classy, even when the whole world's watching. And he wasn't wrong. Taylor's charm that night wasn't just about star power, it was about heart, humor, and a reminder that even global icons still make time for friendship and love. Taylor Swift on performing at the Super Bowl. When The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon audience heard Jimmy mention the Super Bowl, the studio exploded. Taylor Swift laughed, shaking her head, already knowing where this was going. "Oh no," she said. "The internet's been running with that one again, huh?" Fallon grinned. "Come on, Taylor. Halftime show? Ever crossed your mind?" Taylor's reply was classic Swift. Clever, grounded, and just cryptic enough to keep everyone guessing. "You know, Jimmy," she said with that mischievous smirk, "I think the Chiefs already have my full-time support job covered." The crowd roared, instantly connecting the dots to fiancé Travis Kelce. Within minutes, X, formerly Twitter, was in flames. She said she's too busy cheering to perform. Iconic hashtag Taylor Swift hashtag Super Bowl. Imagine her performing while Travis runs onto the field. My heart couldn't handle it. Over on TikTok, clips of Taylor's response hit millions of views in hours. The soundbite, "I think the Chiefs already have my full-time support job covered," became an instant audio trend. Fans paired it with game footage, couple edits, and captions like, "The most supportive girlfriend ever." But Taylor didn't leave it there. Fallon pressed, "So, never say never?" Taylor paused, smiled knowingly, and said, "Let's just say I like surprises. And I like stages that feel earned." That one line sent Instagram and Reddit threads into a frenzy. "She's teasing something," fans insisted. "Maybe not halftime this year, but she's hinting." Industry insiders chimed in too. A viral post from Variety's entertainment editor read, "Taylor Swift's Super Bowl tease was perfectly on brand, gracious, mysterious, and just enough to break the internet." Meanwhile, Swifties turned it into a mini celebration, posting memes of her holding a football with the caption, "Touchdown in style, Taylor's version." As Fallon wrapped up, he said what everyone was thinking. Whether she's on the field or in the stands, the Super Bowl belongs to Taylor anyway. And that's the truth, because even without a halftime show, Taylor Swift is already the main event. Taylor Swift breaks down her songs, Wood, Father Figure, and the Fate of Oilia. When Jimmy Fallon asked Taylor Swift which tracks meant the most to her, she paused, really paused. Then softly she said, Would, Father Figure, and the Fate of Oilia. Those are the ones that nearly broke me. The audience fell silent. Taylor explained that Wood was about building something fragile. It's love you keep repairing even when it splinters. Father Figure, she said, was a song about forgiveness, about realizing you can't rewrite someone else's story, only your part in it. And the Fate of Oilia? That one, Taylor admitted, came from the ache of being misunderstood and choosing to stay graceful anyway. Clips of the moment spread instantly across TikTok and X, with fans writing, "She's not just a songwriter, she's a storyteller with scars." As Fallon said, visibly moved. Every album she drops, she turns pain into poetry. And Taylor just smiled. That's the only kind of magic I know. The final bow, Taylor Swift's legacy in motion. As the lights dimmed on The Tonight Show, Taylor Swift flashed that familiar smile. Part gratitude, part mystery. The kind of smile that says, "I'm not done yet." Fallon waved her off with applause echoing through the studio, but everyone watching, in the audience and online, knew they had just witnessed something more than a talk show appearance. This wasn't just Taylor promoting a project or teasing a tour. It was a woman at the peak of her power, yet still grounded in grace. Every word, every laugh, every tear she held back carried the weight of years spent evolving under the world's brightest spotlight. From heartbreak to healing, from masters to masterpieces, Taylor has turned every chapter of her life into melody and every rumor into rhythm. By the time she walked backstage, the internet was already on fire. Edits, memes, tributes, all spinning from that one night. But for Taylor, it was never about going viral. It was about connecting, about showing the world that the showgirl still has stories to tell, and that her encore has only just begun. Because if there's one thing clear after this unforgettable night, Taylor Swift doesn't just perform her story, she owns it.